I was doing an email back and forth with a friend the other day who is having a lot of trouble qualifying the leads that come into his company. So he was trying to increase his sales from let's say it was 1 million to 2 million a year. It was around that. And I asked him about marketing. I was like, okay, so what are you doing to generate leads? And how many leads are you getting per month? And he was saying he gets about 150 leads a month. And then I asked him, okay, so how are you closing those deals? And he went through his qualification process. And apparently, when he qualifies a deal, he can close it pretty instantly. But when his sales team was closing the deal, they were having major issues. And so he always beat them. He beat his entire team in terms of sales quota, which should not be happening. So in this video, I want to break down how do you qualify an inbound lead so that they'll actually buy from you. Hoping to help out his sales team and then also help you out. So this is the complete guide to qualifying inbound leads. I'm Alex Berman from Experiment 27. Let's jump into it. So the first thing you want to do is separate all the leads in your system to figure out which ones are actually going to buy. So how do you figure out which leads are quality versus which leads are going to waste your time? The real question is, how do we know who's worth talking to? So the exact process we use to warm up inbound leads is what I'm going to go over here. And I'll show you how we see whether they're a good fit or not. So the result of implementing a system like this is that the leads in your pipeline are going to become more higher quality. Working with a higher quality base of clients will lead to more referrals. Both of those should work together to explode your business, basically grow you by a tremendous amount. So let's jump into it. There's William Smith right there. So number one is learn the different channels, the different marketing channels. So for Experiment 27, potential customers can contact us by emailing somebody on our team if they have our email address, pinging us on Twitter, subscribing to this YouTube channel and leaving a comment, going to the OLARC chat box on our site, or directly booking a call from the contact us form on our site. You can get directly on one of our team's calendars. And what you need to understand when you're qualifying inbound leads is that a user on each one of those channels is going to be expecting a different interaction. And by understanding that user's mindset when approaching, you'll start to sell more. So back to this. So when somebody emails someone on the team, they're expecting a little bit longer of a response, right? They might be asking a question, going back and forth. And so you're going to want to put a little bit more meatier responses or try to get them to a call as soon as possible. I always try to get them on a call as soon as possible. If they're pinging on Twitter, again, it's going to be a short response. I always try to, if somebody's pinging on Twitter and asking a question, I always try to get them to send me an email because it's easier to answer there. And email's my strong suit, as you've probably guessed by watching this channel. If they subscribe to YouTube and they leave a comment on YouTube, again, I'm trying to point them towards email. So I'll leave a big comment to help the rest of the viewers out. But if it's something very specific to their business, I'll say, hey, would love to talk about this further. Mind sending me an email, alex@experiment27.com. And then once they send an email, I'll delete that comment so that no one can really, so that I don't get spammed too hard. On the site, chat box on the site, I've disabled live chat. And basically that just sends me an email now when somebody fills out the chat box. So I'll treat it like an email going back and forth and directly booking a call on the calendar. I assume they're qualified if they're directly booking a meeting on the calendar, but this happens so rarely that it's not even worth talking about. Everyone usually hits us up on email or chat before they'll just click the book a call button. So the next thing you want to do is once you get them into your email inbox, you want to qualify them using email, which means ask them for more information. And I'm going to go over the exact script in a second. So here's what we use. Well, actually, this isn't what we use. This is what we were using at a previous company using a POS system. And this is an example. So subject would be our company name. And then we'd say, hey, thanks for reaching out about setting up mobile payments through Stripe. Would love to learn more about what you're dealing with. But first, what's your monthly revenue? Trying to get a better idea of who on the team to send your way. And people are open to answering these type of questions. They'll fill them out in contact forms if you ask what their budget is, and they'll fill them out in email. Whatever that qualification metric is, right? If you're separating customers by monthly revenue, you can ask them about that in the email. If you're separating them by their company size, so if over 500 employees go to one person, under 500 employees go to another person or team, You can ask that, whatever that question is that you want to qualify people with. The way that we qualify inbound leads is a little bit different system. This is better for like high volume SaaS. Like if you were getting like 3,000 or 4,000 inbound leads a month, or even like 50,000 inbound leads a month, this is the system you'd implement. For us as a company, I like getting on every call, or have my sales team get on every single call, because you never really know what you're missing out on. But if you're getting too many leads to do that, this is what you need to be doing. The goal is to collect one relevant thing that will instantly tell you if the inbound lead is qualified or not. For mobile app development, it's usually budget. So if a client's under 50K, you might send them to a partner, or if they're crazy about the budget or they won't tell you what the budget is, you might want to send them to a certain guy whose specialty is getting the budget out of them. So if you ask for what you need up front, it'll save you a bunch of time. Budget's a good thing to ask for in the email. Having them, the easiest thing that I found to ask for from an inbound lead is actually a write-up of the application itself. So let's say they send you a contact form and it's like a bunch of nonsense that you can't really understand. You can ask something like, hey, before we get on a call, would it be possible to take a look at some specs or a quick paragraph on what the application is? By the way, here's my calendar link. Let's jump on the phone when you're free. So that way they'll book a call and you'll be able to get a write-up of their app. So you can cancel the call if they turn out to be crazy. But again, I don't recommend canceling calls. Just get on the phone with everyone you can. So once you're pretty sure they're a good fit for your service, you'll want to get them on the phone and get more info on their problems. So this is the next phase of qualification. The easiest way to ask this is, how much do you know about our service? By figuring out what they know about your company already, you know how much you need to sell them, right? If they know a bunch about you, like for us, we do YouTube videos. So if they've watched a bunch of our videos and they've read a bunch of our blog posts, our team knows to approach them in a certain way, versus if they're cold, we're normally gonna have to do like a 45-second pitch that we practice that's pretty tight in order to get them sold on us as a company before we jump in to the actual selling. When can you jump directly to the questions about fit and need? You can jump to those if they're a warm lead and they say that they've watched your videos. Then you can just say, oh yeah, okay, awesome. Yeah, so what are you looking to do? And they'll basically tell you all their problems. That's why content marketing is a very key channel to have, not just for lead gen, but for speeding up the sales process. And then when you assume they don't know anything about what you do, then you launch into that quick elevator pitch. Once you have done that, you want to qualify on the phone. Once they respond and you listen to their answers, so you've talked back and forth, you figured out their problems and their solutions, then you want to pitch how your product or agency can fix the problem that they just brought up. They'll be talking about all of their issues, like let's say, hey, I was talking to 3 other developers and they all burned me, or they all came in way low and I'm super nervous about this project. Then you can answer that by saying, oh, okay, we've built 3 of these in the past, for different industries, and this happened and you might want to watch out for this, and like basically give your advice, consultative selling style, to make them feel good about you versus the other developers. Once you do that, you want to close the deal or progress. The question I like to ask is, when the call slumps down at the end, they'll say, okay, what do you think are good next steps here? And whatever they answer will tell you what to do next. So they'll say, well, I think I need to show it to my boss and I needed to give it to him before we move forward. So from that, you can say, okay, let's get a meeting on the calendar next week. Would love to talk to your boss and present it to him as well. I'm sure he'll get a ton of value just listening to us and get a better view of the development process as a whole. If they are the founder and they say, okay, I need to talk to my co-founder before we make a decision, you can say, all right, what notes do you think your co-founder would find the most value in? And they'll tell you like, okay, send references, send a proposal that's like this long and has these sections. Like their clients are usually, if they want to work with you even a little, very open about the type of things that are going to make their lives easier when they're selling through. At least in my experience, that happens almost every single time, which I was very very confused why that was happening at first. But I think it's because clients like they want companies that are going to deliver massive value for them. So if you ask for help, you're going to get help, basically. And that is the entire process. Feel free to like this video to encourage this type of content. Subscribe to this channel for more B2B sales training. And if you need marketing support for your digital agency, check out experiment27.com. Thanks.